Hello everyone, it's me again with the red face and the wet hair because I've been in the shower. It's a good look, I know it is, like this flat middle part ponytail that, you know, makes my face look really round. It's such a good look. I actually have to put it like this after I've showered if I'm not drying it, because my natural hair is curly, wavy curly, and if I sleep on it not tied back like this, I end up with like a matted curly mess, and then like a flat bit where I've laid, so it's like flat and then it just like flares out from there and it's really really curly, so it's not really a good look. But you didn't come here to hear about my hair, so just letting you know. Had another quiet day today. It's the weekend, it's Sunday, chilled out. Usually go to my parents' house for Sunday lunch, but a couple of my family members have the lurgy and it's pretty grim and I don't want it. So as much as I love them, I could really do without getting sick. I've literally had so much sickness this year already. I like rarely, I'm gonna say it now, touch wood, but I don't get ill that often. But this year, I have had everything under the sun and more. Like, it's just been ridiculous. I don't know what it was this year, but it's not been good, and I haven't been the same since I had norovirus either. I would say I'm just about getting over it now, because like afterwards, you know, for a few months afterwards, my stomach was still not my best friend. I was like vomiting quite a lot. So yeah, I'm just glad to be over the sickness, and that's why I am not going to my parents' house today, because I don't want to get ill because it's the worst. And I hate taking time off work as well, which is, you know, sometimes you have to, because at the end of the day, if you're vomiting, you can't go into work and give it to everyone else, because then you end up having to close down a whole office, and that's not good. So sometimes you just have to give in and, you know, take a day off. I guess that kind of leads me on quite well to, I want to talk about mental health days. So basically, when you're ill and you feel like you can't come into work because you're poorly, you know, with something physical, it's very normal to call into work and say, hi guys, I'm really sick, you know, I can't come in. But recently I've been seeing this thing about what's called mental health days, which is basically where you take time off, essentially sick, because your mental health isn't that great. Now, this is something that I see as a positive, because when you're not coping very well, sometimes you just need a day, you know, to recuperate if you're really stressed, or you just need, you know, some sleep because, you know, your anxiety is taking a toll and things like that. I mean, that's literally what I've done this weekend. I slept in till 11:30 both days because I just get so tired. And the weekend came bang on the right time, because, I mean, you only have to watch my vlogs last week. In every single one, I'm like, I'm not good, I'm really tired, I need to go to bed, blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm only 22 years old, and I get home from work and I'm like, you know, make the dinner, do laundry and do all the crappy, boring stuff that I have to do. And then I watch a bit of TV and then I need to go to bed. You know, I'm like an old lady. I just like to get into bed and have a cup of tea. I'm not your average 22-year-old, really. I'm not Like, don't get me wrong, like, I like a party and I like a boogie and things like that, but going out every weekend clubbing just isn't my scene at all. Um, you know, I don't want to go out drinking until I fall over and be rubbed up against by people that are old enough to be my dad. I just think it's really, you know, grim. And that's not me being like, oh my gosh, I'm so attractive, because men in clubs will literally rub up against anyone. So, you know, not cool. That's not a generalisation, by the way, not all men. But if you go to clubs and you're a woman, you'll know what I mean. Not cool. So yeah, I like to sort of get into bed and cozy up. And I just got really off the beaten track there because I was talking about mental health days. Yeah, so these days you take off because your mental health is suffering, and I see that as a positive thing because I think it's time for people to start realizing that a mental health illness is just as valid and just as real as a physical illness. I have, as well as anxiety and depression, I have a chronic pain disorder, which doctors haven't been able to diagnose. They don't know what it is. That was actually the reason I was in hospital on one of my other vlogs, was because I was having a caudral epidural to manage the pain a bit. They basically injected me with steroids to try and reduce inflammation in my pelvis, because that's where the pain is. And then they thought it might be endometriosis, but I had a laparoscopy last year or the year before, and they couldn't find any endometriosis, which is like, to be fair, it's way too long-winded to explain, but they were basically looking for scarring and endometriosis, which is like a type of scarring that shows up, it's like black in colour, but they couldn't find anything, which was good, but also I was kind of gutted because I wanted a diagnosis and I still don't have one. They still don't know what it is. They sort of touched on that it might be fibromyalgia, but they can't really diagnose it. So now I'm on the pain management team, and I'm just being sort of monitored, and they're helping me with my pain. And we did this epidural so that I don't have to take painkillers, because painkillers, eventually, if you're popping pills all the time, you're going to basically ruin your stomach, because the lining of your stomach will, you know, not like you very much. It's not good for your liver either. And this was an option for me to see if it would manage it without having to, you know, take strong painkillers all the time. I don't take them every day or anything, but just when the pain's really bad. But when it's really, really bad, I have to take quite a strong painkiller. So that's not really fun. But yeah, you know, with that and anxiety and depression in comparison, I can probably honestly say that I've suffered a lot worse as a result of my mental health than of my pain. And that is a massive statement, but I feel like it's true. If someone said you can be pain-free for the rest of your life, or you can never have anxiety or depression again, I choose to never have anxiety or depression again, because pain is so much more easy to manage than a mental illness is. And I've taken days off where my pain has been so bad, so why should I feel guilty if I ever have to take a day off because of my mental health? Because I think that's what it is. I feel like because mental illness still seems to be such a taboo, which is one of the reasons I'm doing this, because I want to show people what it's like and kind of debunk some things that people think people with mental illness are like. Yeah, so basically I think because it's taboo, people feel a lot of guilt. You know, some people have to get signed off as well by their doctor, and I know that can make people feel really guilty too. but you wouldn't feel guilty if the doctor signed you off because you had a physical illness. It's so difficult, but it's true. And I have a really good boss who I speak to about my mental health, and I've been struggling before, and he's seen that I've been struggling, and he said, you know, if you need to take a mental health day, take one. Like, you know, if you need to recuperate a little bit. And it's really, really good to have an understanding boss. But even with an understanding boss, I think I would still feel slightly guilty, and I wish that I didn't feel that way, if that makes sense. So I think mental health days are definitely something that employers should talk to their staff about a lot more. And I think actually employers should speak to their their staff members about mental health and really make it open and honest place to work for people with mental health, because you'd be surprised how much more calm you feel when you know your workplace is accepting. And for some people, going to work with anxiety and depression or any other mental illness can be really, really difficult. But if you have that support network at work as well as at home, that can be so valuable. And I think it's really, really important for employers to do that. You know, if you're watching this and you don't know your sort of workplace's stance on mental health days, you know, I'd encourage you to ask your boss about it, even if it's just to bring up the conversation rather than, you know, if you need to ask for one. But, you know, open up to people. You know, people with mental illnesses aren't lazy. You know, especially depression makes you so exhausted, and telling a person with depression that they're lazy makes them feel even more worthless than they already feel. So sometimes people just need to recuperate a little bit. Luckily, I'm at the point now with my anxiety and depression where I can kind of recuperate on the weekends, and I can kind of go the whole week. And, you know, sometimes I struggle, don't get me wrong. But I guess I've got a little bit better balance now. But, you know, I wouldn't be opposed if I had to ask for a mental health day to take one. And, you know, my boss has made it very clear that that's okay. So it just makes me feel better as well, knowing that I have that option. I might never use it, you know, but, you know, I can if I need to. So it's a comfort to know. So if you're watching, I want you to comment or message me, because some people like to message me as well because it's more private. I have had quite a lot of messages rather than comments, which is fair enough because it can be quite a touchy subject. But if your employer does have a mental health day, or like really, really good at talking about mental health, comment it down below, like how amazing they are, you know, because it's good to know as well. It's good to know companies that, you know, support people and support people with mental illnesses. So yeah, definitely put a comment or a message below. Tea literally just warms my soul. So nice. I don't know how people don't like it. I know loads of people who don't like tea. Sad. But yeah. So I'm really, really chilled out, and once again, I've got more bags than Hermes. It's not a good look. So I am going to drink my tea and watch a bit of Family Guy, and then I am going to go to bed and then wake up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for another working week. And yeah, I hope I have another good week, because I did actually have quite a good week this week with my mental health. So I'm hoping for another good week, because I felt a lot better last week than I did the week before, which would have been the first week I was vlogging. I was really struggling. So yeah, But I will speak to you guys tomorrow.